Hello, Teacher Laura.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. It is good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
New Year's is coming up tonight. Do you have any plans?
Just some plans with family, maybe to hang out for a little bit. I often don't make it till midnight, so we'll see what happens.
I hear you. I know we live in this.
Especially getting up so early.
That's true. That's true. We live in the central time zone, but I'm from New York. So what we do is we do the East Coast New Year's. So at 11 o'clock our time, we say Happy New Year. The kids say Happy New Year, and then we go to sleep.
I love that. That's perfect.
All right, perfect. So Laura, can you tell us a little bit about you?
My name is Laura, and I have been teaching in a brick and mortar school for, gosh, I hate to even admit, over 20 years.
Wow.
I have a background in elementary education. I have a background in special education and an interest in ESL, and have started working on a certificate for that ESL program. And of course, my interest came just because of doing online English education. So lots of years of experience, more than I like to admit, but they do transfer well to what we do here.
Absolutely. So how long have you been teaching ESL online for?
Not quite a year, so just a
Ah,
little under a year.
okay. And how did you find GOGOKID?
I have a friend who is a stay-at-home mom right now. She's in brick and mortar, but just had a baby or recently had a baby. So she stays home with her baby, and she told me about it because that's how she can lengthen her maternity leave. So it's been a great thing for her, and it's turned out to be a really great thing for me as well.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people, that's how they find it. They are teachers and they have kids and don't want to go back into the physical classroom, so they start doing this. And
Right.
it's really great for them. Yeah.
I would love that opportunity, but I do not think that that's in my future. I'm probably 10 years out, 15 maybe from retirement. So kind of holding tight to that and just doing it whenever I can.
Sure, sure. So I want to ask you a little bit about some connections you have made with students. How would you explain a good connection with a student?
I guess a good connection, I think even in that first lesson that you have taught to your student, whether you have made that connection or not. And I think that it kind of depends. Are you going through the lesson? Are you able to engage with them a little bit more? Do they respond when you try to get them to engage or to make those extensions? But I think probably by the end of your first lesson, whether you've made some kind of a connection with your student. And it usually involves, do you have things in common? Do you have other things that you can talk about? Does their personality match with yours? I know sometimes I get a very serious student, and I can be serious, but I tend to be a little more fun-loving. And sometimes those very, very serious students, they aren't the same as my style, and so I tend to get those kids who are a little more animated and a little more humorous and like to joke and like to have fun in the classroom, because I think they just naturally kind of come to you, or they leave you for someone else who fits their style, leaving you with those kids who are more like you.
And that's what's so great about this. There's so many different teachers, different personalities, and different kids with different personalities, that one teacher might not be the perfect fit for one student, but they usually find each other. And then the teachers usually are left with the students that they really click with.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure who said it, and I think I read it online, but and it kind of stuck with me that this is kind of how teaching is supposed to be. You should be able to, make those connections with your students because you have one or a few, and you're not trying to teach 30 kids at the same time and trying to assess all of their needs at once.
Yes.
So I kind of find this to be the way I wish teaching was everywhere. I understand the limitations in the classroom and with brick and mortar, but it makes it fun, and it's kind of brought the fun back to teaching for me. And I know a lot of other people feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you talk about one specific connection you had with the student and how it affected you?
I have an older student that I've made some connections with. And he actually will, bring his schoolwork or show me his projects and ask me to look at his papers for his English classes to see, if they're correct. So oftentimes when the class has already ended, if it's my last class, we'll take a few extra minutes and, I'll help him with something, for 3 or 4 extra minutes, or he'll share with me what he's doing at school. And it's really kind of a nice addition, because we can connect in a different way than just with the classroom and the lesson and how it's happening. I also have a tiny little girl who started with me when she was 3, and she's 4 now, and she speaks English very well. And if I introduce some kind of prop or some kind of reward to her, the very next class she has it, and she's doing it with me, and she's showing me, and she's giving me rewards too. So it can be really, really fun and really entertaining at the same time.
Nice. So how has teaching at GOGOKID helped you grow as a teacher and as a person?
Well, I would say specifically teaching at GOGOKID has helped me to grow as a teacher of young learners. I tend to, and I'm not sure if everyone else is the same, but I tend to get a lot of those kindergarten levels, level 1, and a few level 2s, but I haven't had many of the upper level students yet. So I think my teaching has grown a lot in what I can offer to those younger students that I didn't necessarily feel very comfortable. My experience, I've taught as low as 2nd grade, but currently I'm in 5th grade right now. So I tend to feel most comfortable with those upper level students that I can have lots of conversation and lots of extensions with. And like I said, I can sometimes be silly, but sometimes my silliness didn't really extend down to those lower levels. So I've had to learn and adapt, and have come to realize that I do have it in me to teach all of those levels, even though I didn't necessarily think I did when I first started.
Ah, that's true. Yeah, it really kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone and
It
makes
really
you
does.
grow.
It does.
Ah. What is it you love most about teaching at GOGOKID?
Hmm. Well, there are a lot of things that I love about teaching at GOGOKID. Like I said, I do love that it's made me more comfortable with those younger learners. I also love the connections that I've made online with some of the other teachers. And I love that it, again, has pushed me outside of my comfort zone and allowed me to do some things, some more supplementary type positions. And I really love that I've been able to make connections with friends, and I now have friends that I talk to daily on the side. Also, one of the things I've noticed, because this isn't my first company, is that they really are responsive to the things that we need. I've never seen so many responses on social media and actually personally taking care of issues or problems that people have. So I really appreciate that aspect as well.
At the meetup,
Yes, yes,
a big part of it was they were asking us, okay, what do you like about the company? And then what do you wish was different about the company?
right,
And they took
exactly.
notes, and they were even joking around. They were like, oh, I'm going to need like more whiteboard space to write all these. But they're really, really receptive and very nice too, and very, very open to hearing our suggestions.
Which is nice, because in the companies that I've worked with previously, it's hard to really even make a connection with anyone that, is higher up or maybe has the power to help you. So it's nice to actually put faces to names and be able to talk to real people.
Absolutely. Yep, I totally agree with you. So, Laura, if you had a friend who said, this sounds interesting, but it also sounds a little strange, like, is it real? Do you get paid? Like, is it safe? So they want to try it out, but they're scared. What advice would you give them?
Well, of course, I always share my own advice, and I do have some friends that I have convinced. Some it took a little convincing, and some, were in right away. And even when I first got started in online, I saw, some of the advertisements popping up, and I thought, that sounds too good to be true. And so I avoided it for a good year until I actually knew someone who had done it, and could assure me that it was safe, that it was, a legitimate way to make money. And I would say that it's been a pretty big blessing to my family. It tends to come under secondary income for us, but it allows us to do all of those things, that just having that little extra bit of money can do. It sends us off on some trips. We're able to, go out to eat or to do some of that extra shopping or fun things with our kids that might not have been possible just on that regular everyday salary. So it's been great. And I love the fact that I can think ahead to what I'm going to need, and I can adjust my schedule too. So I know that, if I don't need a ton of money and nothing's coming up, I don't have to work quite as hard, versus if, vacation is coming, I can really open up that schedule and prepare for that. So it's been great that way too. And teaching jobs just don't let you do that in brick and mortar.
Very true. Have you ever done all of those all-nighters where you teach all night?
There was one time and I thought, I can do this. And I opened up my schedule and it started to book, and then I got scared and I closed a bunch, and I think I lasted until about 1:30 in the morning, and then I took another half hour to do my feedback, but I haven't done all night, and I felt terrible the next day too. Right. So I don't know if that's in my cards. Maybe I'm too old for that. I don't know.
I definitely am too old for that. They were talking about that in the Facebook group, and I was thinking, God, I wish I could do that. But even when I was young, I tried to pull all-nighters studying, and I would just sit.
I need sleep. I do. I function better with some sleep. So after working all day on a Friday and then staying awake until 2 a.m., I was a mess for the whole next day. So right. I decided, I'm not sure that's in my cards or in my future. We'll see. Maybe in the summertime when I get lots of rest.
Yes. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your secondary positions? What kind of secondary positions do you have?
Well, I am working on some workshops along with a lot of other workshop coaches. So my first is prepared, ready to go. And the second one I'm working on right now. And I feel a little bit like I've fallen into a workshop hole. Sometimes you start and you think they're going to go one direction and they kind of take off in a totally different direction. So organizing and putting those thoughts together.
All right, Laura, well, thanks so much. It was so great speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. It was great to meet you.
Thanks, Laura. Have a good new year.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.